Hi, and welcome to Coach Jude at Rangitoto. A few episodes ago, I talked about how it's important when considering a choice that you ensured you looked at the whole choice. Today, I'm going to be discussing a variation of this, where you deny your choices and how this can really frustrate your weight loss journey. Recognising that I did have choices and that I was actually driving my own bus rather than just being a passenger was a real game changer. Once I got this right, I found maintaining my weight became so much easier. Intrigued? Stay tuned for a real eye-opener on how to stop denying your choices and how this can really help with your weight loss. What do we do when we deny our choices? Basically, we absolve ourselves of responsibility. It wasn't me, Gov. They, it, whatever made me do it, honest. You can recognise that you're doing this if you listen carefully to the language that you use. Sentences tend to start with, I have to or I can't. Here's the reality though. We always have a choice. And when we say we have to or we can't, what we're really saying is that we don't want the consequences of our choice. Let me give you a non-weight example. Let's say you don't get on with your parents particularly well, and you have no real desire to spend time with them. You may well say to yourself, you have to visit them at least occasionally. But here's the thing, you really don't. You actually choose to go and see them, maybe because you don't want to upset them, or you don't want others to judge you harshly or consider you are behaving selfishly. It really doesn't matter what the reasons are, but accepting that it's your choice and you are in control of the situation is incredibly liberating. We all hate being forced to do something, and if we are forced, then we tend to do the absolute minimum and don't give it our all. Now I can hear you saying, but if the outcome is the same, I still go and see my parents, what does it matter whether I recognise this as my choice or not? Well, it's about the way it makes you feel. Let me use another example, one from Gillian Riley's books. Imagine these two scenarios. Firstly, you're feeling quite flush at the moment and you decide to give a friend £1,000 as a gift. How do you feel when you think about doing this? Pretty good, probably, especially if this friend has been struggling lately, but in the past has helped you out on numerous occasions, and it feels really good to return the favour. Now consider a different scenario. Imagine that same friend stole £1,000 from you. Now how do you feel? Note the outcome is the same. You have £1,000 less. But how it happened is completely different. Now you're likely to feel upset, angry and betrayed, and likely to end that friendship immediately. What's the difference then? The first scenario, where you actively chose to do something, feels good. The second, where you were forced to do something, feels really, really bad. So what does this have to do with losing weight? Well, when you think about losing weight, what language do you use? Do you say, I have to lose weight? This implies you don't have a choice, but you actually do. If you don't lose weight, you may have to buy a new wardrobe of clothes or accept that you are increasing your risk of getting diabetes and heart disease, but this is still your choice. You can choose to lose the weight because you don't want to buy any more clothes, or you can choose to lose the weight because you want to lower your risk of serious health problems. but make no mistake, the choice is yours. Exactly the same thing happens when you make a food choice. Do you say things like, I can't eat cake because I'm on a diet? Or possibly you say things like, I have to have the salad because there are too many calories in the burger and chips. This implies that the diet made you do it, when actually you are choosing. Now the tricky thing is, we can say the words, I am choosing the salad because it's healthier for me, but if we aren't really choosing, then we're complying. How do you know the difference between choice and compliance? Again, it comes back to noting how you feel. If you feel constantly deprived and resentful, then you're not choosing. This is not sustainable. I know because I'm a super complier. I can go weeks or months doing what I should, sticking with the rules, but in the end I crack and then it gets ugly and I go completely off the rails. So how do you move successfully from one state to the other? And is it even possible, I hear you ask? Well, the good news is it is, but it won't happen overnight and it does take some work. How do you start really choosing? Well, the first step is to stop denying your choices. Remind yourself of all your options. For example, you can choose to eat this cake. I can choose to eat something healthier, or I can choose not to eat anything at all because I'm not actually hungry. You can choose to eat the cake knowing it won't help you reach your goals, or you can choose not to eat the cake because it's what you want to do, moving you towards your goal. But what if you can never imagine that you will freely choose anything apart from the cake? What if you feel that you would always have to force yourself? This is when figuring out what is really important to you plays such a big part in what you eventually choose. The ideal place that you want to get to is where you lose your desire to eat that cake and that hamburger. Now, before you shriek at me that that's impossible, it really does come down to what your motivation is. For example, if you could save a close friend or family member from a devastating disease and all you had to do was not eat cake for the rest of your life, might you do it? Or maybe if somebody offered you £1 million, would that change your mind? The point I'm trying to make is that to succeed in this, the benefits of not overeating have to be more important to you than the benefits of overeating. And if you really accept this and get it right, you could completely lose the desire to overeat, so that there isn't a dialogue going on in your head where you're constantly debating with yourself which choice is more important to you. How do you lose the desire? That's another big discussion that I'll save for another day. Finally then, if you're really serious about finding the way to permanently losing your weight, you need to stop denying your choices and acknowledge that nobody is making you do anything. You have choices, and where you are now and where you will ultimately end up will be directly related to the decisions you made in the past and those you'll make in the future. Notice when you say things like I have to or I can't, and challenge your thinking. Ask yourself, what are the consequences you're trying to avoid? You are responsible for you and your life. Once you recognise this and realise that you can drive your own bus, you will feel incredibly liberated. It really is worth making the effort. And remember, if you need more ideas because you're just starting out on your weight loss journey, or perhaps you've stalled, check out the link below to my free comprehensive guide to kickstarting your weight loss. And on that thought, I'll leave you. As always, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like this episode if you found it useful, subscribe if you want to learn more, and do share your progress, your triumphs and your insights with me. All the best until next time. Bye.